Hello. Today I will be your guide to unlocking the spiritual mysteries of the universe. Where do I even begin? Uh, Excuse me if I say a couple times. I'm just very new at this. I don't know exactly what I'm doing. I practiced making YouTube videos a couple of times, but I've never quite gotten the hang of it. So bear with me if I have a couple pauses in between what I'm trying to say and when I'm saying it. Uh, the secrets of the universe, like chi, which is what I'm explaining in this video, are complex. They're things that people under normal circumstances would never understand because they never had interactions with such things. Maybe once when you were a kid, you experienced these different things, these different feelings, but you never quite knew how to put it into words because you were never put under the pressure of explaining it. Chi is a little bit like this. Because that's the title of my video, that's what I'm sticking by. I'm going to explain Chi. Chi is a little bit like this. So imagine that you yourself are an electric magnetic organism. That you have electric magnetic energy, that you can attract electric magnetic energy. That's the basis of all chi, is that you are an electric being and you can attract electromagnetic energy if seen fit. When I was first taught these principles, I was taught in such a way that I was taught in stages. Like, one teacher taught me this thing, one teacher taught me that thing, and eventually I got around to knowing the full extent of what I was really capable of. But I'm going to try to condense these teachings into one video. There's a lot more that I want to talk about, like the secrets of the universe and things like that, because I've discovered quite a bit on my road to becoming who I am. But for right now, I just want to focus on the very basics of not just chi, but chi control. Which means I'm going to have to delve into the emotional spectrum. I'm sorry. It's the emotional spectrum is like this. If chi is the energy that the universe is based around, then the emotional spectrum is the chemical compound to creating your own universe in aspects. Because with chi, you're able to do so many more things than you would have been able to if you were just a small little person. That's the notion I'm trying to dispel. You are not just little old me. You are not just this thing that appeared in the universe and has no control over it. You are an almighty, all-powerful God inside of you. And with my teachings, hopefully, you'll become one more step closer to becoming that God. I like the silence. I like when there are absences in the things that people are saying, because it means that they're really thinking about what they're talking about. I like those little gaps in between saying what you're thinking and knowing what you're saying, if that makes any sense. I'm too much trying to be like Alan Watts when I really shouldn't be, but okay. Let's get into the basics. Chi, in a sense, is electric magnetic energy. An energy that anybody at any time can feel. It's within you right now. If you have a nervous system, if you have ever felt an adrenaline rush, these are things that are inside you right now, but you've just never tapped into them because you don't know how to tap into them. I guess we'll start at the beginning, where my teachers taught me. It all started with breath. Taking in a breath when you needed it. Breathing in, breathing out. Feeling that motion of the energy within you. That's where it all started. I was taught a breathing technique in order to better understand my physical capabilities. Someone once taught me that it wasn't that I had asthma or anything like that, or that I was out of breath. It's just that I didn't know how to breathe right. And from there begins the entire foundation of all this chi stuff. Let me take you back to the past. Let me take you back to when I first started dealing with this, when I was very young. And I'm not saying that I came up with all these concepts myself. I came up with these concepts with my teachers, with other people involved. Like they very much so helped me along the way. But this was the foundation of everything that I'm going to teach you. When I was a kid, I used to watch a little show called Naruto. Now, if you don't know what Naruto is, I have no idea why you're watching this video. But if you have no idea about what Naruto is, I place to you that you should go watch Gaara versus Naruto. Because this is where the foundation of everything that I believe begins. You should go watch that little fight. Because in that little fight, it kind of describes some of the sensations that I'm going to be going over in the next video. But this video. Sorry. I'm still getting the hang of this. I'm not exactly perfect at it. Let me just change hands right there. In this Naruto versus Gaara fight, Naruto does something where he draws upon his inner energy and he produces a cloak around himself. It's a cloak of chakra, which is what they call chi in the Naruto world. This cloak of chakra allows Naruto to accomplish things that he couldn't accomplish on his own. Like he becomes able suddenly to throw hands with this big beast of a character called Gaara, who's like literally towering over him, and suddenly he finds the strength within himself to fight back. And since we're in the real world and not in the spiritual world, I want you to imagine right now that around you is a cloak of energy. It feels very warm. It feels very safe. This is the basis of chi. This little tiny cloak on the outside of you that you can draw upon and produce in the real world. This is the basis of chi. This is the basis of everything I've ever studied. Well, not everything I've ever studied. I've studied a lot, but I can't remember like 95% of it, so I'm telling you what I know about chi. This little fire inside of you, you can call it. You take it from the inside and you put it on the outside. This little chi cloak is the basis of everything I'm about to teach you. It might not seem very significant. You can pull it out and it doesn't seem like it's very much, but it's chi. The important thing to think about here is that you can feel this chi. This chi is an extension of you. This chi inevitably is something that becomes like an extension of you. You move with it, you breathe with it. This little tiny cloak of energy that I'm telling you about. It's not very significant. This is the basis of what humans can do on their own if they don't understand chi. Right? Feel like you're covered in a blanket of warmth. That is the basics of all chi. Now, I'm going to get into some of the further things now. My teachers once told me that if you don't feel like you have enough chi on the outside, then why not draw more into the inside? So they taught me a secret. Hush, hush. Don't talk about it. Don't say a word about it. Draw more energy into you. Don't let it be an outside phenomenon. The very first thing I learned when I was learning about chi is that people naturally don't have a lot of it. It's just a fact. They don't have a lot of it. They can project it to a certain degree, but there's a limit, and it can only do so much. It can make you the tiniest bit stronger. It can make you the tiniest bit faster. But that's not the entire capabilities of chi. When you get into the entire capabilities of chi, you get to this level, right? You get to this level where suddenly the impossible becomes possible. That's what I'm going to be going over in this video. So, like I told you, the first ever chi exercise is to feel like there's a warm cloak around you. I've always imagined it as orange in my head. This warm cloak of energy that when you begin to pull it out, makes you stronger, makes you faster, if only by the tiniest little amount. That's where all chi control begins, with pulling this energy out of you. But it goes so much deeper than that. The next thing my teachers told me is that, well, if you feel this energy within you, or outside of you, sorry, If you feel this energy outside of you, then why couldn't you feel it within you? And if you can feel it within you, then there are techniques that we can use to amplify it. And so they amplified it. They told me about the Spirit Bomb, which is from Dragon Ball Z. See, my teachings come from Eastern practices, but not conventional Eastern practices. They come from stories like Dragon Ball Z, Naruto. I'm going to get into that in a later video. I'm not just going to ignore the fact that everything I'm telling you is about children's shows. But for right now, let's just dig into the premise that maybe some of these children's shows have more information within them than they like to lead on. I'm going to have to make you take that step of faith. And later, I'll explain to you why you took that step of faith. But that's not for this video. My initial video is on ki control. So you've done all the steps. You brought the cloak out of yourself. And now I'm telling you to put the cloak back in yourself, right? I'm telling you that within yourself is the capability to draw in more energy than initially thought. Now, what do you mean about that? Well, like I was saying before, in Dragon Ball Z, Goku had this ability. It's called the Spirit Bomb, where he would draw in all the ki from the entire planet. Maybe even the universe. Who knows? He's drawing in ki from the entire planet. And he creates this little ball of energy. It's not very big. It's not very powerful. But it's this little ball. That's what you can do within yourself. Now, drawing in this energy isn't particularly challenging, but it does come with its own set of drawbacks. Like, when you start to draw in this energy, let me just wipe away my hair real quick. You start to feel this pressure in the middle of your forehead. You start to feel this pressure because this little part right here is what takes in all the energy. There's a little piece of your brain that draws in the natural energy from around yourself and pulls it into your body. And then you can put it in your body and it becomes more energy. This is step 2 of learning the basics of ki. This little piece right here inside your forehead, they call it the third eye. This is what allows you to draw in more and more energy. Let me just put my hat back on because I look pretty awful without that. This is what allows you to draw in more energy. But it doesn't end there. So this ki cloak that made you feel better, faster, stronger. What you want to do is you want to take that feeling of being better, faster, and stronger, and amplify it. And if you don't know what I mean by amplify, it's just basically you feel a certain way, you feel better, faster, and stronger. What you want to do is you want to multiply what that feeling feels like. And this is going to be an abstract concept for a lot of people. Amplifying the energy inside of you, that's not something everybody's going to be able to get. But if you can imagine you have a little surplus of energy and you're taking it and you're amplifying it to bigger and better things, that's where the basics of all Ki begins. If you can take that little tiny bit of energy within you and amplify it, take it from this thing, feel yourself multiplying the energy and make it this thing, then you're on your way. Then all of a sudden, little challenges in life become nothing. Then all of a sudden, your physical aptitude doesn't necessarily correlate with what you're capable of. Now, you're capable of so much more than you ever thought you were capable of. Excuse me while I smoke. It's a bad habit of mine, but I happen to like it. Those are the very basics of Ki. Ki control. Chi control. Whatever you want to call it. I call it Ki because I grew up watching Dragon Ball, and that's what they called it in Dragon Ball. But if you want to call it chakra, you want to call it Chi, you want to call it any of these things, you can call it that. But what it really is electric magnetic energy. When you use it, you kind of want to imagine like you're a magnet. You want to imagine your energy like you're a magnet, like you're drawing in more electric magnetic energy into yourself, because that's what it really is. Here's where I get into the science of how this all works. So I've explained the feeling of how it works. I've explained the feeling of growing more powerful. I've explained the feeling of drawing more energy into yourself. I've explained the feeling of amplifying it, but I haven't explained what it is, what it really is, scientifically. Chi is electric magnetic energy. Electric magnetic energy that you draw into yourself through the practice of what I've already taught you. And the things you can do with this electric magnetic energy are far beyond anything I as a teacher could ever tell you. Because when you take your electric magnetic energy and you mix it with different emotions, if you've ever watched Naruto, or if you just ever watched Dragon Ball Z or anything like that, you've seen characters who have different color auras. Or if you know anything about chakra practice, you know people have different auras, different colors around them, these different emotional spectrums, which I haven't gotten into yet, but they have these different colors around them, and these different colors correlate to different effects. These different colors correlate to different effects, but now I'm going to get into how these different colors coexist and how they come into play. So the second thing that I wanted to teach you in this video was about emotion control. Emotion control is a little tiny bit different than ki control, but it's still the basic thing where you're still going based off of feeling, right? And at the end, I'll get into how to fully utilize your ki and how to feel stronger than you actually are. But for now, I'm just going to get into the emotional control aspect of it, because after that, it all comes full circle. It'll all start to make sense. So with emotion control, different feelings feel like different colors. Like if I were to tell you to love somebody, it feels different than if I told you to smile at somebody, right? You know this instinctively. This is something that's not well talked about, but it's something that's deep inside your spirit. If you love somebody, it's different than smiling at somebody. If you smile at somebody, it's different than being afraid of somebody. If you're afraid of somebody, it's different than being sad about somebody. This is the basics of emotion control. Understanding these different concepts, these different feelings. Like, for example, if I wanted to write a horror novel, what I would use to write that horror novel would be fear. Because the fear inside of me draws out these feelings of inadequacy, these feelings of, I don't watch many horror movies, so I don't know what people fear or feel when they feel fear. But you draw upon these emotions to get different results. Like if you wanted to write a love story, you would invoke the emotion of love. You would invoke this emotion of what you think love is, in essence. Like you would tell a story about two people falling in love, and how they felt about each other. Like, I saw her and she was the greatest thing I've ever experienced. Stuff like that, you know? But if you want to write a horror film, you would say, I saw her and I was terrified. Her body was grotesque. And the emotions that came with it. That's just an example, you know? I'm not a horror novelist, so I can't really get into that, but you get the general feeling. That's the emotional spectrum. It's a spectrum like the color wheel is a spectrum. Those are the different colors of chi. And based on what you're feeling at whatever time will dictate the effects that your chi have on the world. If you have enough of it. You need to have quite a bit before it really starts having an effect on the world. Right? I wish I had a cigarette. I guess the next thing I want to talk about is how to take your chi and physically utilize it. Because at this point, you know to take the energy and amplify it. So I want to teach you how to use that energy on the inside of you. So when I was first learning about it, I learned to stretch upwards. But it's not just a simple stretching upwards. It's using a certain feeling inside of you as your energy to stretch upwards. It's like So I told you about the emotional spectrum, right? And how there are different colors. You want to turn your energy based on the wheel that I presented to you. You want to turn your energy pink. And this becomes like a bubbling energy of infinite power. Take that energy within inside of you and push yourself upward. It might feel like the energy is kind of balling at the top of your head, your shoulders and stuff. You want to push yourself upward, right? With this pink energy. I guess you could really do it with any of the colors of the spectrum, but the pink is the most powerful. You'll feel the most effect. You want to take this pink energy that you've gathered on the inside of you and you want to push upward. This will be your first ever experience of utilizing chi energy to move your body. And then when you do things like lift a weight, for example, or like do anything like move your body, this is going to be where it first comes from. It's going to be this pink bubbling energy that you're going to be feeling. You can point forwards and you'll walk forwards. You can point up and you feel your energy rising. You can point backwards and it'll move you backwards. You want to feel it like moving throughout your body. You want to feel like the pink energy is in your hand, right? And your hand is right here. And you move the pink energy up. And your body moves up. Oh, it's a spooky ghost. But not really. This is chi control. These are the very first steps of utilizing chi. What else do I want to talk about? I think that's it for the first video. In other videos, I'm going to get to where I came up with all these ideas from. But I wanted this to be the first simply because I wanted this to be the video that got you hooked. You know, learning chi or ki or chakra or whatever you want to call it. Learning to utilize this energy to improve your life. Now, at first, it's not going to feel like anything. It's just going to feel like you're just using a different muscle to do things when it's not really a muscle. It's like pure energy. But trust me, this energy has a lot more. This energy that I'm talking about, it's hard to even say. There's a lot of things you can do if you learn to master this energy. You can learn to become even more than human. So that's it. Peace.